FBI Director James Comey held an unusual press conference on Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server. Now, it's unusual because of the transparency. Comey himself said it. This is pretty unusual for me to come out, but because of the nature of what's going on, the charges, that he felt that it was necessary to be transparent. Well, transparent about what? Well, it turns out that he, of course, was talking about Hillary's emails. Now, his decision, which will be the official recommendation of the FBI, is that Hillary Clinton did not intentionally break any laws on handling classified materials that went through her server. Now, I want to show you some of this press conference, and then I want to kind of break it down a little bit and give you my opinion on it.
Our investigation looked at whether there is evidence that classified information was improperly stored or transmitted on that personal system in violation of a federal statute that makes it a felony to mishandle classified information either intentionally or in a grossly negligent way, or a second statute making it a misdemeanor to knowingly remove classified information from appropriate systems or storage facilities. And consistent with our counterintelligence responsibilities, we have also investigated to determine if there is evidence of computer intrusion by nation states or by hostile actors of any kind. Although we did not find clear evidence that Secretary Clinton or her colleagues intended to violate laws governing the handling of classified information, there is evidence that they were extremely careless in their handling of very sensitive, highly classified information. There is evidence to support a conclusion that any reasonable person in Secretary Clinton's position or in the position of those with whom she was corresponding about those matters should have known that an unclassified system was no place for that conversation. In addition to this highly sensitive information, we also found information that was properly classified as secret by the U.S. intelligence community at the time it was discussed on email. That is, excluding any later up-classified emails. None of these emails should have been on any kind of unclassified system, but their presence is especially concerning because all of these emails were housed on unclassified personal servers, not even supported by full-time security staff, like those found at agencies and departments of the United States government, or even with a commercial email service like Gmail.
All right, so Gmail getting a shout out there, but okay, so the information here is not good for Hillary Clinton, especially when it comes to politically. There's going to be a lot of political ramifications. Criminal, however, that's a different story. But what we see here from Comey's remarks is that there was an incredible mishandling of classified information being sent to and from her private email server. And here we also have the words, extremely careless, in describing the actions of a Democratic presidential candidate. He said any reasonable person in her position should have known better. She should have known not to do that. Why? Because it's not secure. That's the whole crux of this thing, is whether or not what she did made her classified materials accessible to other people. And they could not say that that didn't happen. They couldn't say, well, we think she might have been, I mean, we don't know. We don't have any direct evidence that she was hacked. But she could have been hacked. And it's likely because of how many people actually knew about this server. Not to mention you have the Guccifer leaks that so far the DNC refuses to comment on. Now, if they weren't legitimate, you could come out and say, they're not legitimate, those are fake documents. But since they haven't come out and said anything, kind of makes you think they're probably legitimate and they want to try to save face. Because that is clear evidence that her server was hacked into and confidential emails were accessed and downloaded. And that is not a good thing when you're dealing with a government agency, especially like the State Department. Now, she also said that she never, in some of her depositions, she claimed that she had never sent any classified email from that server. Quote, I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material, so I am certainly well aware of the classification requirements and did not send classified emails. Well, she did. As Comey said, quote, 7 email chains concern matters that were classified at the top secret special access program level, when they were sent and received. These chains involved Secretary Clinton both sending emails about those matters and receiving emails from others about the same matters. But like our good friend the ShamWow guy says, but wait, there's more.
I think it's also important to say something about the marking of classified information. Only a very small number of the emails here containing classified information bore markings that indicated the presence of classified information. But even if information is not marked classified in an email, participants who know or should know that the subject matter is classified are still obligated to protect it. And while not the focus of our investigation, we also developed evidence that the security culture of the State Department, in general, and with respect to the use of unclassified systems in particular, was generally lacking in the kind of care for classified information that's found elsewhere in the U.S. government. With respect to potential computer intrusion by hostile actors, we did not find direct evidence that Secretary Clinton's personal email domain, in its various configurations since 2009, was hacked successfully. But given the nature of the system and of the actors potentially involved, we assess we would be unlikely to see such direct evidence. We do assess that hostile actors gained access to the private commercial email accounts of people with whom Secretary Clinton was in regular contact from her personal account. We also assess that Secretary Clinton's use of a personal email domain was both known by a large number of people and readily apparent. She also used her personal email extensively while outside the United States, including sending and receiving work-related emails in the territory of sophisticated adversaries. Given that combination of factors, we assess it is possible that hostile actors gained access to Secretary Clinton's personal email account.
Hostile actors. Yeah, like maybe Russia or China. No, that's great. No, that's fantastic. Absolutely great. Look, the whole issue here is security. Now, a lot of people are calling this a witch hunt, right? Including some left-leaning, some liberals, right? Some well-meaning liberals are out there. Oh, it's a Republican witch hunt. They're just going after Hillary Clinton because she's Hillary Clinton. No. In Benghazi, that's the case. And look, that's a problem whenever Republicans actually allege something, right? They throw out so much bullshit and they see what sticks. Now, unfortunately, this is actually one of those things that's a legitimate issue. Now, at first I didn't think much of it, right? I thought another scandal, another bullshit thing, the Republicans. But no, they actually had a point. This is about security. This is a pretty big deal. And unlike Benghazi, there's actually truth to it. And it actually lends a lot of thoughts to Hillary's character as well, as far as, her concerns about security, right? Basically, what she did, set up her own server for the convenience of it that wasn't secure. Now, why should she be allowed to do that? Why should anybody who, works for the government not be required to use a government account and government servers that are secure? That's the whole point. And we should end that practice immediately. No one should have, their email. Nobody should be able to use their own personal email for government documents that could be classified. That's what I'm trying to say here. But anyway, now I want to show you Comey's recommendations to the Department of Justice on these emails. This is going to blow your mind.
Although there is evidence of potential violations of the statutes regarding the handling of classified information, our judgment is that no reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case. Prosecutors necessarily weigh a number of factors before deciding whether to bring charges. There are obvious considerations like the strength of the evidence, especially regarding intent. Responsible decisions also consider the context of a person's actions and how similar situations have been handled in the past. In looking back at our investigations into the mishandling or removal of classified information, we cannot find a case that would support bringing criminal charges on these facts. All the cases prosecuted involved some combination of clearly intentional and willful mishandling of classified information or vast quantities of information exposed in such a way as to support an inference of intentional misconduct, or indications of disloyalty to the United States or efforts to obstruct justice. We do not see those things here. To be clear, this is not to suggest that in similar circumstances, a person who engaged in this activity would face no consequences. To the contrary, those individuals are often subject to security or administrative sanctions, but that's not what we're deciding now. As a result, although the Department of Justice makes final decisions on matters like this, we are expressing to Justice our view that no charges are appropriate in this case.
No charges. That's it. We think you did something wrong. And we have evidence that you did something wrong, but we're actually not going to do anything about it. That's interesting. See, I thought when you did something wrong, you were supposed to get punished for it. Maybe I'm just living in a different world. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a victim of this two-tiered justice system that we have. I don't know. Maybe my name's not a Clinton. Anyway, look, the whole thing, and Comey kept really expressing this. He kept saying this, right? Is that it breaks down to intent, right? Well, she didn't willfully or intentionally do what she did, but she ended up doing it anyway. Oh, well, that's a great relief. She didn't intentionally allow her servers to get hacked. I mean, come on. It wasn't willful. That's why we can't punish her on it. She didn't intend to break any laws. She just ended up doing so in the name of convenience. Great. Well, gee, if we're going on intent here, then I guess anything goes. Well, officer, I didn't intend to speed. Or I didn't know that I was speeding because I never saw a speed limit sign. I didn't know what I was doing. Well, ignorance of the law doesn't prevent you from being punished for breaking it. That's the whole point here. And look, I understand why he's not recommending indictment, because apparently to prove intent, it's an incredibly high bar. And that he keeps pointing out, no reasonable prosecutor would dare take that case on because of that high bar. Because of that, because of the difficulty in proving intent, and the big name, Hillary Clinton, behind it, no prosecutor is going to take that on. So even though she did something wrong, they're not going to do anything about it. And that's what's frustrating. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I don't believe she had bad intent. And if we're going by that metric, as the FBI is, okay, then fine. She did something wrong, but she didn't intend to do so, right? That's the FBI's metric. However, you can't overlook the fact that she did something wrong. She mishandled classified information. And at the very least, this shows that Hillary Clinton has terrible judgment. It also shows that she can walk into a situation, do the wrong things for reasons of expedience and maybe keeping things private, and not be found liable. Now, I know this is ultimately in the hands of the DOJ, right? But as she's indicated, Loretta Lynch is likely to follow the FBI's recommendations. Plus her suspicious meeting with Bill Clinton last week, it shows me that Clinton will end up being free and clear. There will be no indictment. It doesn't matter that what she did was extremely careless in their own words. The establishment clearly wants her to be the next president of the United States. And so what we're going to end up with is that we're going to get an election where you have no change versus an incredibly disastrous change. Well played, establishment. Well played.